And Grandpa Koehler and Evie Koehler and
What's he looking at?
Helen Bickford's looking at Helen Bickford.
It's been raining outside. It's kind of cool. We all got ready this morning in one bathroom. All 8
All
of
at the
us.
same time?
9 of us.
7,
9
8,
of us.
9, 10, counting baby.
Well, baby didn't do.
That must have been a big bathroom.
Well, it wasn't too big.
And the calendar says October, and Dan and Melinda are in the
You can
calendar.
almost turn around in it.
And they're here now.
You want to see that? Oh, that was an exciting game then. Who were they playing now?
Koehler.
Take a picture of the organist and the piano
How
player.
about There's Debbie.
All the way from Oregon. She's born out in Portland, Oregon.
Hannah, Melinda, Koehler.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Debbie and Hannah here. Now we'll take a picture. Turn around so you see Debbie. Now we'll get a closer look at Hannah.
She kind of looks like a little.
And it just was never right. I never felt right because none of them had the same vision. I met Dan. He landed in Kalemi, Zaire on my birthday, December 30th, 1988. And I didn't pay any attention to him because he wasn't my type. I just, he was green, he was new, he didn't know anything, he didn't know the language yet, he didn't, so I just didn't pay any attention to him. I went home on furlough and came back a year later. And lo and behold, here I find Dan. He's living with the Africans. He had 12 of our Bible school students. Fed them, helped clothe them. If one of the students didn't have a bed or didn't have a pillow, he'd give them his and he'd sleep on the floor. And I was really touched in seeing someone who would give his life that way for the Africans, because I can tell you, as a missionary, I have seen other people out there, so-called missionaries, that are even, and actually within about 3 months we were engaged on our way home to get married. It was all kind of fast, but I knew it was the will of God. Actually, what happened was Dan was starving to death as a single missionary. And I was always having problems with my electricity. And Dan's a wonderful fix-it man. He'd come over and he'd help fix all my electricity, whatever would go wrong. And because I felt sorry for him, I would feed him. So I just fix some food or something. And sometimes we just sit around afterwards and just share. Well, one evening, he just started talking and started sharing with me my heart. And I kind of went, whoa, this is the one I've been waiting for 30 years. Oh, wow, okay. So anyway, it wasn't long after that. We fasted and prayed and we knew it was the will of God. And we merged our ministries together. And so from that time, some of those things then that have been in my heart and that were in Dan's heart are beginning to be fulfilled. One is our bush ministry, bush evangelism. It's something that's been real exciting to us. We've gotten a chance to see a lot more of since we've come together. There's so many places, especially in Zaire, that are so very hard to reach. We did a large crusade last year in a place called Shabunda to a tribe called the Warega tribe. They're commonly known as devil worshippers among all the other tribes. They're the most steeped in witchcraft. Their great-great-great-grandfather made a covenant with the devil who said, all my children will serve you. And from that time they've been doing baby sacrifices, virgin sacrifices. They actually kill and eat their own parents, and that's how you get very involved in witchcraft, if you eat someone's flesh especially. And this goes on today. Right today. I mean, we're not talking years ago, we're talking right now. These sort of things are happening. And once I heard about this particular tribe, it burned in our hearts to go and reach out to them. Well, last July we were able to do that. Dan went out several days ahead of time, drove out in the car. You tell my husband it's impassable, you cannot go, people have not been able to make it, and it's just like waving a red flag in front of a bull. He just thinks that tells him he can do it. So he took the car and drove. I flew in several days later with the crusade team, and we had a real exciting time. We saw some witches getting saved, people bringing their fetishes to be burned. We saw quite a few healings. A man who hadn't been able to see received his sight. A lady that had a problem with an issue of blood in her body was instantly dried up and healed. We saw some tremendous things. People that had had curses put on them by the witches that were delivered, and saw 500 people saved. So we were really, really excited, and that was just in 1 week. We had morning teaching seminars for the Christians in the churches, and then an outreach, a crusade in the afternoon to reach the lost. And that's generally the way we like to do our meetings. It was real exciting. Dan's father Larry was out there with us for a while, and we got a chance to drag him through parts of the bush that few Americans have seen. He experienced getting stuck in a mud hole for 4 or 5 hours with us, and that was fun. But those kind of things where we're able to go out into these areas and bring the gospel to people. We've received so many letters afterwards that said, we're so glad you came. Can you come back again? We've received so much. So we're real excited about that. Bush evangelism is probably our #1 area that we're real excited about. But these days, #2, and it's had to be #1 for us for a while, is translation. We're right in the middle of a literature project of getting somewhere around 200 books translated into Swahili and printed, so that we can, after that, do a Bible school. Because our 3 goals are bush evangelism, getting good Swahili literature about the Bible. We don't have much. They really don't have any strong, good Bible teaching, faith-building literature. And so that's one of our main goals, is to get that done. We've been working hard on that. Our first book just came off the press in July, and we were really thrilled. This one's talking about finances, obedience and finances, and the people really, really need teaching on finances. The pastors seem to think that the offering plate is just for their own personal pocket a lot of times, and they need to really learn how God talks about finances in His Word, and what we need to do then as faithful stewards. And so we felt like that was very important. We're getting that into print. There's another book that should be coming out right after we get back called The Precious Blood of Jesus, and teaches wonderful things on the atonement and redemption. And we've got some bigger books that we're looking to print after that. Our goal is about 200. Once we get something around 200 good, strong Bible books in Swahili, then our third goal we can start looking at, and that is starting a Bible school. Different languages, hundreds of languages. And if we can teach each one of these tribes to reach their own people, if we can receive in pastors, evangelists, teachers out of the different groups, teach them the Word of God and send them back out. See, they don't have to learn a special language then. They don't have to learn the culture. They already know it. They go right back into their own home village and can reach the people there, can evangelize, can start churches, but there's so much to do there. I don't know that we'll ever get there, but really teaching them to reach their own people, I think, is the key to world evangelism. And we're ripples of them. That's a real important thing, is to make disciples. I mean, you can't go into an area and just evangelize and leave the people then to die. They don't have anyone to teach them. As having a baby, having Hannah, we could give birth to her and then say, okay, feed yourself, dress yourself, bathe yourself. She can't do it. It's the same thing for a spiritual Christian baby. Once someone is just newly born again, they don't know anything. A baby doesn't know the difference between poison and real food. Baby doesn't know how to do anything for himself, and that's where we as strong, grown up, mature Christians in the Lord need to reach out a hand and help these people. And we're looking to go into a place, and this is something we'll probably have to do after we've had a Bible school and train up people to be able to pastor in certain areas. But there's a village, a very remote area called Omate. Omate is very isolated in the interior of Zaire. You have to walk a week through mud to get there. You can't even fly in. There's no place to fly in. It's marsh everywhere. And we've been talking with one young man that had been out in that area, and I tell you, it just makes your heart burn to reach these people. They switch wives. No one knows who belongs to who. They just switch everybody. Okay, tonight you're with me, and you know, it changes every single day. The people have never even heard of the name of Jesus. You think, is there really areas out there that they've never heard? Yes, there really are areas out there that have never even heard. And we want to go out there, but the thing is, you can't go out and you can't evangelize to people without having someone who wants to stay and help teach them and be there with them and help to counsel them, because they're so isolated that if we go in there and once we just take off and leave, then they'll just go back to their old ways again. You need to have someone there to continue to encourage and teach them. And we're looking to someday, Dan will go out there with a guide, trek through all this mud. He'll have to clear a spot for the helicopter to come in. I will fly in, say, a week or two later with some building supplies in a helicopter. We can build a church, evangelize, and have a pastor to stay on to help raise these people up. That's what our long-range goal is to be able to do. We're not quite there yet. We need to have our literature first. We need to have Bible school that we can train up students to go out and do that sort of work. People like Dan shared, just this last year, we had a couple pastors come out. Watch out, Pastor John. Someday you too could come visit Zaire.
Yeah, that way you said, I'll never be a preacher. Never.
And when you say, I'll never go to Africa, watch out. You may make it.
Never say never. That's
Never say never. My cousin who said, I am never going overseas, I'm never going over there, who happens to be now pastoring in Boise, Idaho, felt a call of God to come out there with us for a couple weeks. And he came with another pastor, Pastor Ray Stark from San Francisco area. And we had this wonderful week planned of teaching in Bukavu where we live. And then going out to the bush. I think everybody should have a bush experience. I think no one should go through life without having a bush experience. So little did they know what they were in for. They climbed in a canoe with 7 rowers, rowed for 4 hours through storms, and got to this little island in the middle of our lake, Lake Kivu, where they proceeded to walk for about 11 hours through the entire night, with the Africans carrying like generator that we were carrying out films to show the people the life of Jesus and other films. They carried these out on their heads, walked 11 hours through the night, and they had a terrible time even getting a guide, because apparently on this particular island there are these like bandits that run through and strangle people with these cords so they can sell them to the witch doctors with extra power because they've murdered somebody. And so the people didn't want to go through the night because of these people that run around and kill people. So anyway, they finally found one brave soul that would lead them through. They walked all night, got to the church the next morning about 5:30, and only to crash out on the floor because the people didn't really believe they were coming. And at 6 o'clock they started pounding the drums to call people into church. And they'd already walked all night and they weren't really excited about it. We wouldn't do this to you, mind you, if you came. I promise this wouldn't happen. But anyway, they did have a wonderful meeting. Then this happened to be the meeting that the 7-year-old pygmy girl was deaf-mute was healed. And that's so exciting. We've got it on video. Unfortunately, we left the video with another pastor. But to see this little girl, of course, pygmies are small, and she's 7, so she's real little, only about this big. But you clap your hands, and she goes like this. Never heard, and for the first time in 7 years, the Lord touched her, she received her healing, and she just leaped when she hears someone just clap like this. And then to see her start talking, just baby talk. She'd never been able to speak before, and she started going, up, 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 up. Never uttered a sound in her entire life. So exciting to see what the Lord has done in so many ways. And I'm not sure how many thousand, there were several thousand that came to the meeting, and how many people were actually saved out of that. There were so many, so many. And there were several thousand that came to the meetings, and I think probably 1,000 that were saved. And God does tremendous, tremendous things when we are willing to step out and go the extra mile to tell others about Him. I just encourage you, in this part of the world, there's also people that really haven't heard. And you've got a real tremendous ministry even in Byron Center and Grand Rapids. There are people that still yet haven't heard. And we're reaching our part, and I'd encourage you to reach yours. Maybe for the last 10 minutes or so, we could open up for questions. If anybody has questions about what we're doing, something you've always wanted.
This is a 4-generation picture.
That's good.
Okay?
There's generation 1,
Okay.
Don't squeal.
generation 2, 3, and 4.
You get
Okay. Oh. Yeah, you have to
And
really
then-
push hard.
that
Yeah,
up.
push then it real hard. Cheese.
I know.
This is my dad, and this is my sister Arlene, and this is my sister Helen if she wants to look
This
around.
way.
There's Helen, Arlene, Dad. So the whole family's here today.
Yeah.
Over here someplace we can get you. Oh, you're gonna
Here we
get
go,
it from this
Grandpa.
side.
And Dan, y'all look this way. And there's great-great-grandpa. And there's Lowell Cotter. Dan,
walking through
yeah,
so we
look
get
this
the
way. And
Right.
Larry. There,
That's
we
right,
gotta
you
get a
got
picture of the
that
daddy
moving
yet.
thing.
Come on, Dad.
Oh, I don't want that picture of the diaper over his shoulder.
There we
You
go.
get way up there top and take it down. You can see your eyes.
Boy, I can't
Today
figure out why
is
this thing
October
goes
11th,
so
and Dan
hard.
preached at Clio United Methodist
Maybe I
Church.
should use
He
it
did a
more
great
often.
job. Did want to
The last one
following
he used it was
Jesus.
Christopher.
This is going to be a picture of the Koehler men and one little Koehler baby, Hannah Melinda Koehler, who was born the 22nd of September. Yeah, she's a sweetheart. Ah. There we go. We'll back up a little bit. There we got
Pretty good one like
4
that.
generations
There you
there.
go.
Good. Okay, you want to introduce yourself, Dad Koehler? Where are you? Tell me your name and when you was born, okay? Okay, Larry, your turn.
Larry Koehler, born in 1932.
Oh, you get sound with that.
We're all, well, my mom and dad are both green. And then all of us kids had dark brown eyes.
1, yeah. And then we have Hannah Melinda Koehler, 1992. Neat. Oh,
Debbie, are you, Abby, kind of get down.
No, you gotta get down.
Yeah, that's good.
I think we go all back up 4 feet.
He does that. They all that.
You know, if you all take one picture at a time, then more people can be in.
Well,
Before.
Baby.
Have ya?
Yeah, I brought it with.